What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another Black Ops 7 gun guide. In today's episode, we're going to be diving into the shotgun category, finally, with the brand new SG-12. We're going to be diving deep into the stats of this, and toward the end of the video, I'm going to be sharing a few excellent attachment combinations to try out. And diving right in, let's have a look at our raw power potential, and our rate of fire with this is 212 rounds per minute, which is not terrible for a shotgun at least. And the way shotguns work in this game is we deal a base amount of damage just for hitting a pellet, and then for each pellet that you hit, you get an additional damage on top of that. So with this gun, up close, we deal 40 base damage plus 12 damage per pellet that hits on top of that, and we have a total of 6 pellets that we fire per shot. And that means if we land just one pellet, we're dealing 52 damage, because we have base damage plus 1 pellet. Whereas if we hit all 6 pellets up close, we're capable of dealing 112 damage, meaning we have a one-shot kill potential. And you can see all of our maximum damage per shot values here. This is assuming every single pellet hits, which as you get to the longer ranges, that's just not going to be happening. This is just to show off the potential, and it'll make more sense when we look at the ranges. So let's dive into that. And with this chart, a key thing to point out is I'm showing the number of pellets that you have to hit in order to maintain the number of shots to kill that are laid out. So in that first damage range from 0 to 6.4 meters, we can get a one-shot kill as long as 5 out of our 6 pellets from that one shot hit the target. So it's not a super consistent one-shot kill, but there is a one-shot kill potential. Then in the next damage range, it's going to take a minimum of 2 shots to kill, so 12 pellets total, and out of those 12 pellets from the 2 shots, you only have to land 4 pellets total. Not 4 per shot, but 4 total in order to maintain that 2-shot kill. And that might be confusing. That doesn't mean that you only have to land 4 pellets from one shot. You do need the base damage stacking from both shots fired in order to do this. So that's why it's displayed as 4 out of 12 pellets rather than 4 out of 6. But at least within that range, it is going to be a very consistent 2-shot kill. Whereas beyond that, now you have to start mixing in quite a few more pellets, and that's where you start seeing less consistency with a 2-shot kill, and it's more likely to be a 3 or even 4-shot kill beyond 14.3 meters. Also, it's worth noting, with a 2-shot kill, our time to kill potential on this is 283 milliseconds, which is a great time to kill in this game. So while a one-shot kill is a nice bonus with this gun, you really just need to make sure you're getting consistent 2-shot kills if you want to compete with most of the guns in the game. Now after that, let's get into a few things that affect our damage values. And the first thing I want to cover here is the damage barrel, because if you look at this, you'll see that it increases our damage potential to the upper torso, upper arms, neck, and head. Whereas without this, you deal the same amount of damage anywhere, even the head. And what this means is as long as you're hitting those zones, those upper torso zones, we're now capable of getting a one-shot kill out to 14.3 meters, but 5 out of our 6 shots have to hit that upper torso zone in order to make that happen. So it can absolutely happen with the right setup if you're getting a very, very tight spread, and I'll be sharing this toward the end of the video. But just keep in mind, it might look a little bit better on paper than it actually is, because the odds of you hitting 5 out of 6 pellets to the upper torso zone specifically are pretty low overall. As for the next one, this is Incendiary, and you can see here with Incendiary, while it decreases our maximum damage range, it does increase our other range values, and you can see it generally requires fewer pellets to kill, at least in the closer ranges, but that's assuming the burn damage is taking place as well. So with Incendiary, you deal your initial damage when you hit the target, and then there will be 2 ticks of damage after that. If the enemy isn't using Flak Jacket, you'll be dealing a total of 12 bonus damage from Incendiary, whereas if they are using Flak Jacket, you're only dealing 4 additional damage with that burn damage after the fact. Overall, in my opinion, it's just not worth using at all. The inconsistency, depending on whether or not your enemy has Flak Jacket, combined with the fact that our maximum damage potential isn't as good, it just makes it not worth it in my eyes. And then finally here, I wanted to point out, rapid fire will boost our rate of fire up to 239 rounds per minute, so our 2-shot time to kill is now 251 milliseconds, which is quite nice, but this also reduces all of our range values by 10%. So there we go, just wanted to make sure I was covering a few of those options, since they're not as straightforward as just increasing or reducing our damage range values. Next though, since we covered Incendiary, let's also have a look at slugs. If you use slugs, you now fire 1 single slug per shot rather than 6 pellets, and it totally changes up our damage profile, and it becomes very heavily dependent on body multipliers. And this is what it looks like. From 0 to 2 meters with slugs, it'll be a one-shot kill anywhere but the legs, so very consistent, but that's also a super short range. Whereas from 2 to 20 meters, we still have a one-shot kill potential to the body, but that only applies to the upper torso, upper arms, neck, and head. Whereas from 20 to 36 meters, we can still get a one-shot kill to the head only. And beyond that, it's now going to be a 2 to 5 shot kill depending on where in the body you're hitting them. So you definitely want to keep yourself at worst within 36 meters with this, so you can at least get that one-shot headshot. But generally speaking, you really want to try to stay within 20 meters so you can get that one-shot kill to the upper torso, upper arms, neck, and head. Also, it is worth noting you can combine this with the damage barrel, and it helps a little bit, but realistically, it's only helping at those longer ranges. You can now see from 36 to 51 meters, we can maintain a one-shot kill potential to the head, but outside of that, it's really not doing much for you. It's not going to help you in the ranges where it really matters when using slugs. Overall, though, when it comes to slugs, I wouldn't say it's terrible as long as you're keeping yourself within about 20 meters, but I just generally prefer not using them. And now that we've got that out of the way, let's get back to the standard gun with no attachments or ammo modifications, and let's have a look at our hipfire versus aim down sight spread values. And as you can see here, we're pretty much right on average for shotguns when it comes to our maximum and minimum hipfire spread values, whereas when you aim down sight, it tightens up that spread quite nicely, and we're now noticeably better than average compared to the other shotguns in the game. Next up, let's have a look at our handling stats. And across the board, we're pretty close to average for the shotgun category. It is worth noting sprint out times are a bit on the slower side for shotguns in general, and it's one of the most important values when using a shotgun, in my eyes at least, so I would recommend putting some attachments on there so you can reduce that down from that 200 millisecond value. Then after that, when it comes to our reload time, this is 1.73 seconds, which is not bad. It's around average for a shotgun, although that is skewed a little bit by the M10 breacher, which loads individual shells. And our magazine capacity on this is 8 rounds, which is not terrible considering most of our kills are going to be a 2-shot kill. That will allow us to very consistently kill 3 to 4 enemies between reloads if we're not spraying around too much. Now, of course, we do have options for faster reloads or larger magazines in the magazine category, and here are all the values for you. And then finally, for base stats, let's have a look at our mobility stats. And once again, across the board, we're pretty much just average for a shotgun here. It doesn't really stand out in any way. It's not bad, but also not great. And now that we've got all of that covered, let's get into the unique prestige attachment, which is very interesting on this. This is the Pulsefire Tac Light. And this one is in the laser category. And what it does is, first off, gives us a binary trigger. So that means every time you pull the trigger, it fires a shot. And then when you release the trigger, it fires another shot. And that really increases our rate of fire potential, which we'll look at pretty soon. But on top of that, it allows us to use tac stance, just like the tactical laser. Keep in mind, the tac stance spread is exactly the same regardless of which of these two lasers you're using. So you're not getting any additional benefit to your tac stance there. Whereas the downsides are, first off, the laser is visible to enemy players, just like any of the lasers in the game. It's not really all that visible realistically. Whereas the downsides are, first off, that flashlight is visible to enemy players. Although I want to point out, it's not the strobe flashlight that a lot of people were expecting from the SG-12 in Black Ops 4. And that one had a strobe effect that was really disorienting and blinding, and it would actually disable aim assist as well. None of that happens with this. It's just a visible flashlight. It has no impact on aim assist, and it's not blinding at all. And this does come at the cost of a 20% reduction to our damage range values. And that is fairly notable, but the rate of fire increase here is pretty crazy as well. With that binary trigger, we can now fire at up to 355 rounds per minute for a new 2-shot time to kill potential at 169 milliseconds. That is an insanely fast time to kill that will absolutely dominate most of the guns in this game. And as a result, you may find that that 20% reduction to your damage range isn't all that bad because you're gaining so much benefit to your 2-shot time to kill potential. And that's not to mention the fact that tac stance is also great on shotguns. So there we have it. That wraps it up for all of the important stats I wanted to cover. Now let's get into a few excellent attachment combinations. And the first one I wanted to share is what I call my tac damage build. This is using tac stance primarily because we can actually get a better tac stance spread than aim down sight spread on this gun, with the right attachments, of course. So with this one, we're using the Akita full bore muzzle. That one's going to be helping with aim down sight spread, and anything that helps with aim down sight spread also helps with your tac stance spread. For our barrel, we're using the damage barrel on this, so we want to be aiming upper torso with this to get that bonus damage and a potential for a 14.3 meter one-hit kill, which is pretty crazy for a semi-auto shotgun. For our rear grip, we have the sprint out rear grip, since sprint out time is so important. For our stock, we have the one that helps with our tactical stance spread. And then finally, we have the standard tac laser because it doesn't harm our damage range at all. And we really want to squeeze out our maximum one-hit kill range with this. And as you can see on the bottom right there, our tactical stance spread is very tight at 1.33 degrees. This means out to that 14.3 meters, it's possible to be getting those 5 out of 6 pellets on target that are required to get that one-shot kill. Now, if you don't, that's fine. You can still get a very solid 2-shot kill potential, but this one just allows you to get those really nice critical one-hit kills that you otherwise wouldn't be able to without that damage barrel. Now after that one, I wanted to share my rapid Hipfire build, and this one is using Gunfighter, and this is my like no-brainer sort of build with this gun. So with this reason, the muzzle helps with Hipfire. We've got the short barrel on here, primarily for the sprint out benefit. We have the Sapper Guard for our underbarrel. That's going to help us with our sprint speed and our Hipfire movement speed. Our magazine is the 10-round mag. The rear grip is the sprint out rear grip, so we can get a really fast sprint out time here at 115 milliseconds. We're using the stock that helps with our hipfire spread, the conversions box laser, which also helps with hipfire, and then finally the rapid fire attachment. So we get a faster 2-shot time to kill potential at 251 milliseconds. That's going to be highly competitive even with SMGs up close. And on the bottom right, you can see our hipfire spread is almost as good as our aim down sight spread now. So don't even bother thinking about aiming down sight with this. As I said, it's kind of just a brainless build. You can just run around hip firing everything. And you should be generally getting very consistent 2-shot kills with this, which is excellent and a very easy way to use this gun. Now, I've got one last build I wanted to share for you guys, and this is my binary tac stance build, which is, of course, going to be using the Prestige laser, giving us binary fire for an insanely fast 169 millisecond 2-shot kill. And with this, we're once again using the Akita full bore for a really tight tac stance spread, combined with the sprint out rear grip, the same stock we've been using on all of our builds, because that one also helps with tac stance spread. And then finally, we're actually topping this one off with buffer springs, which might seem a little bit strange, but what I found when using this setup is even in tac stance while using this laser, it actually has a fair amount of recoil with its really fast rate of fire, so it's nice to keep that in check a little bit so we can ensure that we're consistently hitting those 2 consecutive shots on target with plenty of hit pellets. And this one is excellent if you just want to absolutely melt people with that 2-shot kill. And there we have it. That's finally going to wrap it up today's gun guide on the SG-12. And when it comes to my thoughts on this gun, I think it's very good for a shotgun in this game. It's super consistent with that 2-shot kill while having a potential for a 1-shot kill, even though you're not seeing it all that often in my experience. It is just a nice bonus when you get that 1-shot kill right up close. Now, admittedly, it can be a bit of a brainless shotgun as well, like I shared with my second build. It's not like it's particularly high skill or difficult to use, but if you want to use a really consistent semi-auto shotgun, the SG-12 is the gun for you. Now, of course, those are just my opinions on this, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about this shotgun in those comments down below. And if you guys have missed any of the previous gun guides, I will leave a link to the playlist in the description of the video. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.